Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of That One Thing, New Kid on the Block. I want to first start off by thanking everybody for joining us today, newcomers or not. Welcome to the second episode. My name is Karina Shafalo, and it is a pleasure to have you guys with us. This podcast is brought to you by RMK Productions Network, 10 Entitled Podcast Network, and RMK Productions TV. Through the power of story, our mission is to uplift through voice, inspire, share stories and experience using the framework of teaching, learning, and modeling. Our purpose is hope, helping people every day. Welcome, guys. It is great to have you back with us. If you are a returner, if you are a newcomer, welcome. My name is Karina, and I invite you to go back and listen to the introduction of episode 1 of That One Thing, just so you guys get a little bit of a framework of what we're going to be working with here. So today we are going to talk about new experiences, and I titled this New Kid on the Block. It's a common saying, you know, a new kid on the street, new kid on the block. You just moved in to your new house and you're not sure what to expect. All new neighbors, a whole new community, and that can really pertain to anything. A new community can pertain to a new school, a new sports team, a new home, for example. It can really be anything. So we're going to get into that. I'm going to share my experience, and then we're going to dive into how you can make yourself, how you can make yourself get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Okay, so we're going to dive into that right now. So I'm going to dive in right with high school because I think that's a big one for a lot of people. If you're listening right now and you haven't reached high school yet, it's one of the best years of your life. You're going to love it. But for right now, I'm going to talk about high school. This might not be your experience. And if not, who knows, this might have been a way different experience than you have had. And that's okay. I'm going to tell my experience, then we're going to go into what I've learned and what I've dealt to do to be successful in my college career. So here we go. High school. All right. So I went to a public middle school and I transitioned into an all Catholic, all girls private high school. And that is a big shift for a lot of people, because if you're thinking about it, you're going from maybe a 500 people grade or person grade, and then you're shifting down to almost 500 people in the whole entire school, freshman to senior. So, and maybe even faculty if your school's that small. So it was a big transition for me, just size wise. You're not getting the day-to-day, seeing different people. You're really seeing the same people every single day. In public school, it wasn't so like the structure was different. We had, 8 classes. And in high school, we had 4 and 4, almost like block scheduling. So that was a big shift too, logistically. So there was a lot of logistical things that I had to get used to. And that just comes with repetition. So when you're dealt with, a time difference, or, a new curriculum or anything like that, it's honestly just repetition and getting used to getting a new structure, right? So where my challenge came in and where something that I lacked freshman year was meeting new people. I consider myself pretty outgoing, but at the time I was one of the only ones in the school that came from a public high school. So it was hard for me to, adjust to the girls that came up from their private middle school coming up to high school. They already knew each other. And I was one of the outliers in that sense. And in the beginning, it was very uncomfortable for me to understand that because I was so used to knowing people in 8th grade, 7th grade. And so that was a challenge for me. Just coming into a new school and it being all girls as well was a big challenge. So I didn't really know anybody else there. I had acne covering my face. I was not confident in myself. And I realized, I didn't realize this probably until quarantine, what went wrong and where I could have excelled my freshman year of high school. Because this can really pertain to anybody. This can pertain to a 5th grader. This could pertain to a 40-year-old in a new job. So I wasn't comfortable with myself, mostly because of my sexuality. I wasn't sure about myself yet. I wasn't confident in who I was as a person, and I didn't have values to back me up. Now, I'm not saying that a 13, 14-year-old should have concrete values, but they should have something to kind of ground them. Who do I want to be friends with? Do I want to be friends with the sports people? Do I want to be friends with the music people? Do I want to be friends with the over exuberant group, or do I want to be in the more reserved group? And all of them are okay, but it's really just your preference. For me, I'm a very extroverted person, so I kind of shift towards more of the introverted group just so I can be loud and outspoken. But if I'm matched up with a bunch of loud and outspoken people, it's going to be an issue, because we're going to be constantly conflicting. But it's really what works for you. And the goal I set there is to dip your toe into different friend groups, dip your toe into, maybe the jocks, or, the introverted kids, or anything like that, and see what you like and see who you kind of gear towards. Now, you can be friends with everybody. I'm not saying that you need to totally shun somebody because you had a bad experience. However, it is very healthy to jump around, and even when you're older, to jump around and just meet new people, because you never know what you could, one, learn, two, pick up and maybe incorporate into your own life, or three, overall, just getting to know a new person. I mean, that's like the best gift in the world, in my opinion. So we're going to transition into quarantine. So my freshman and sophomore year, I made lifelong friendships. I still talk to them to this day. But again, I still was not grounded in myself. I was comfortable with who I was around, but when I went home at night, I was not comfortable with myself. I was not satisfied with myself, right? So quarantine made me seriously take a step back and pause, because I was on the go all the time. I didn't have time to reflect, meditate, use mindfulness, for an example. And for anybody out there that is as busy as can be, I would highly recommend a weekend of just mindfulness and just taking the time to really write down your values, write down your goals, and literally write them down. I don't mean text them. I mean, write them down with an old-fashioned pen and paper, and put those up on your wall, put them on your desk, something like that, so you can look back and say, this is the quote I want to go off of. These are the values I want to live by, and create your community around that. And I promise you that you will create a community around what you are giving off. You will eventually. It might not come right away, but you will give that vibe off to people, and you're going to get the same vibe back. I promise you. All right. So quarantine. I went into quarantine, and it was a scary time, as most of you know. And my life changed in a way that I really didn't think was possible. At the time, I was like, oh, great. I'm going to be sitting here, I'm going to be watching Netflix. I'm going to be, going on my 15th show, and I'm not really going to be learning anything, or I'm not really going to be doing anything. And I decided to make myself uncomfortable and try something new. So there was a man that I actually did an internship with, and it was with all older people. It was with business owners. It was with kids that are just starting out in business, like myself. It was with people who want to start a business that didn't have a business. And his name is Zane Jan, and he really inspired me to go out there and really catch after my dream. But it was uncomfortable at first, because I was the only female on the Zoom, and it made me uncomfortable because I was with all older men that knew what was going on in business, knew the terminology, things like that. So that was one instance where I put myself in an uncomfortable situation, not even knowing until I got to the Zoom, or until I got to the meeting, that it was uncomfortable. I was pretty confident going in. And then when I got in there, I was like, oh my God, it takes a step back, right? So you want to throw yourself into uncomfortable situations, but you want it to be natural. You don't want it to just be like, I'm going to do this. It's going to make me extremely uncomfortable, and I'm going to come out of it the best I've ever been. No, you want to make sure that it catches you off guard a little bit. So you are almost like, I have to adjust in the scene. So for any of my athletes out there, it's almost like being thrown the ball, and you have to know what to do with it right in the moment. No preparation involved. You got to know what to do. So for that instance, I was on the Zoom with them, and it was a little uncomfortable, but I ended up learning people skills, and I ended up learning that I'm okay. I'm alive. I made it through the Zoom. I made it through that interview. And it's not something to dread. It's not something to be like, oh, I got to do this again next week. You know what I mean? You don't want to wait for the perfect time to make that uncomfortable situation comfortable for yourself. Like I said, you want to have it be in the moment. Okay. So when you get in that uncomfortable situation, let's take a step back. Let's do a little more of a simplified version. Let's do, for example, a group project. Now, most people that are listening right now understand the pressure of when the teacher says, find somebody to be in a group with, and you're looking around like your best friend better give you eye contact, or it's gonna be hell at lunch. But so you're looking around, you're trying to find people, and you end up catching eyes with a total stranger. You never met them before, and you're like, great, how am I going to communicate with this person? How am I going to go up in the front of the class, and how am I going to do a project with this person, right? So you're uncomfortable right off the bat. Now, a couple of things I want you to do. I want you to acknowledge the situation. This is uncomfortable for me. I don't know this person at all. I don't even have their phone number, whatever. This is uncomfortable. Acknowledge. Realize that if you fail this project, it's okay. If you fail meeting a new person, if you say something and it wasn't funny, or it's okay. Okay. That's what I want you guys to understand, because a lot of people are afraid to fail. And that's what leads them to not trying new things. And they're in the constant repetition of the same old, and they never are able to open their horizons and see the potential they truly have. We all have undiscovered potential. We can always do one more of something. And you'd be surprised how well your body quits, but your mind doesn't. And your body shuts down and your mind automatically is like, yeah, no, I'm done. So realizing that it's okay. And then what I want you to do is I want you to recognize your accomplishments. Know who the hell you are. My name's Karina Shafalo. I own 2 businesses. I could do this. I could do this project. I'm a lacrosse, I could do this project. So right now, I'm going to take a brief pause. I want you to recognize 3 accomplishments that you have in your back pocket. I got an A on a group project last year in this subject. I got an A on my math test today. I could do this. Recognize 3 accomplishments right now. And I want you to pause this podcast, and I want you to write them down real quick. I'm going to give you 2 minutes, let's say. All right. So hopefully you guys press play back, came back. All right, you got those accomplishments down there in your back pocket. All right. Now, step number 6 is extremely important. And this is what I tell a lot of my friends that are networking as young professionals. You want to work like a professional. You want to be above your age. Okay. It's important to meet new people outside your bubble. And it's important to open up new perspectives, new opportunities, but you got to work like this is your job. Okay. When I go into a room, I want to network with that guy, and that guy. And I want to come out knowing their phone number, their Instagram, their Snapchat, any social handle. And I want to know one thing about them that I can talk to them about and reach out to them about. Okay. So work like you know what you're doing, even if you don't. And most of you probably have heard this, but you want to make sure that you never give off an uncertainty to yourself. When I do a speech or when I do anything like that, I don't want to come off like I don't know what I'm talking about. You want to come off confident, poised, and relaxed. And you want to make sure the audience knows that. Even if inside you are like flipping out, exploding, I can't wait to get off the stage. You want to keep your ease. You want to keep your calm. You can go in the bathroom after, flip out, call somebody, whatever you have to do. But at that moment in time, you want to be chill, okay? Because then that person will match your vibe, and it'll be a chill vibe. It'll be a very relaxed conversation. So back to our group project. So what did we take away from this when we met this new person? Now, guess what? Best friend and I are not talking at lunch, and I'm best friends with this stranger now after that. After the group project, you got an A on the group project, and you're good. So a couple of key things I went over there, and I want you guys to write these down. I'm going to list them out for you. Okay. So here's the mindset pattern that is key, and that I guarantee you will help you keep your calm, your cool, collectiveness in the classroom, in the workforce, just on your daily life. These are the key steps to being the most confident human being you can be. Okay, here we go. Do not wait for the perfect time. There will never be a perfect time. If you wait to look at your crush in the eye and say, I like you, you're wasting your time. If you write too much down, you got to go after it in the moment. I want you to post that social media picture right now. Right now. What? It's 12 a.m. Post it. All right. Never a perfect time. All right. So that's one. Acknowledge the situation when it happens. This is uncomfortable. I do not know you at all. And I can't believe I'm doing this midterm group project with you. And I don't even know who you are. Like I've never seen you in my life. Acknowledge it. What's the worst that can happen? What's like the worst thing that could happen when you take a test? You fail. Okay. All right. My grade goes down. That's fine. I can get it back up. Acknowledge the situation, look at the worst possible outcome, and then overachieve that outcome. All right, so number 3, realize that failure is okay. Failure is positive. And we're going to go into this in a couple more episodes, but I want you to look at failure as a plus. I don't want you to look at a failure anymore as a negative, because you will always find something to benefit you from a failure. You will always find something. Your attitude is what determines your latitude. That's a quote that I heard this past week, and it's true. If you have your attitude of a failure or of a lost game as we stink, we're never gonna, this is horrible. Switch that around and say, let me go back in the game film. Let me look at that tape. Let me see what I could do better. And I'm going to work on that during the week. And guess what? You just advanced yourself without even thinking about it. Failure is okay. It's fine. All right. So number 4, recognize your accomplishments. Know who the hell you are when you walk into a room. 3 things in your pocket, like we wrote down a couple minutes ago. Keep that in your pocket, keep it in your head, wherever you want to do. Put it as your background on your phone if you really want to. Know who the hell you are. Number 5, and my favorite, work like a professional. You want to know what you're doing when you step into a room, even if you feel like unstable and not in the right place and very uncomfortable, and you're the only girl in a Zoom meeting, or the only guy in an all-girl setting. Work like a professional. Be the person that people come to for questions, even if you don't know the answer. Be the person that is comfortable in their surrounding in any situation. All right. So I will be posting a thing on my story once this podcast gets released. I'm going to be posting something on my story, basically some books I recommend on mindset. And I read these books in high school. I read these books during quarantine, and it completely changed my mind on everything. And it made me a more confident human being for the better. If you guys have any questions for me, please reach out to me on social media. Again, at Karina Shafalo on Instagram, at Karina Chief 5 on Twitter. Please give me a call anytime. Reach out to me. Karina, what book should I read? Karina, I'm in high school. What's an easy read for me? Karina, I'm a 35-year-old man. I need another book in my view. I got you. I will send you one. And I will we'll talk about your situation, and I'll give you a book for it. But I generally think that working on those 5 steps that I just said, working on it, it's not going to come tomorrow. It's not going to come tomorrow. But when you take the time, you practice one of those steps, you're going to be a professional before you know it. You're going to be confident, and you're not going to be the new kid on the block anymore. You're going to be the mature professional kid on the block. All right. So that's really all I have today, guys. I really appreciate you joining today and listening to this podcast. I look forward to seeing you next week, and I hope everybody has a great week. Work like a professional. I'll see you later.